Chosen ones, what I'm about to share may surprise you, even shock you. If you found your way to this message, know that it's not by coincidence. You were led here because something powerful is unfolding in your life. A divine force is working behind the scenes, orchestrating events in your favor, while others may have counted you out, misunderstood your silence, or tried to strip you of your influence. A powerful ally in high places was already setting things right. Your post, your voice, your position, your destiny has been restored, not by human effort, but by a spiritual alliance that your enemies never saw coming. What looked like a setback was actually a setup for a greater comeback. You're shifting from waiting to receiving, from hoping to walking in manifestation. This isn't just a mindset change, it's a spiritual elevation. You have been divinely outmaneuvering opposition without lifting a finger, because heaven made a decision concerning your life. Now you've gained an ally who moves in silence but delivers in power. Before we go deeper into this life-changing word, take a moment to do 3 things. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 50,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. That number is a powerful signal to the universe, an affirmation that you're in alignment with this moment and ready to receive what's coming. And remember, if you are truly a chosen one, you'll stay with this message until the end, because deep down your spirit already knows this is for you. And what's waiting on the other side of this revelation is greater than anything you've lost. They never stood a chance, not because you fought harder, but because heaven had already written a verdict in your favor. Long before their whispers turned into weapons, a higher court had overruled every plan formed against you. The moment heaven backed you, your enemies were unknowingly fighting a battle they had already lost. While they celebrated temporary wins, they were blind to the truth. Your outcome had already been settled in a realm they could not manipulate or enter. Imagine a courtroom where the judge is your defender and your accusers don't even have legal standing. That's what this battle was like. Every attack they launched was rendered powerless, not by your hand but by divine intervention. You weren't just defended, you were declared untouchable. The favor over your life spoke louder than their accusations. What they meant for evil, God flipped for elevation. They came to strip you of purpose, but they triggered a platform instead. You see, power that doesn't come from man can't be taken by man. That's why you're still standing. Because you were backed by something greater than strategy, louder than lies, and stronger than schemes. Their efforts weren't just ineffective. They exposed the truth that no force can succeed against a soul chosen and backed by the divine. Your survival isn't luck, it's prophecy unfolding. Heaven wasn't silent while you were being targeted. No, it was mobilizing, putting angels in position, shifting circumstances, and preparing a public reversal. They thought their words could bury you, but heaven turned their insults into soil for your growth. Every delay, every betrayal, every ambush only triggered more divine activity on your behalf. They thought they could erase you, but heaven's ink doesn't fade. The record was set straight before they even sharpened their knives. You weren't fighting for victory, you were fighting from it. They lost the moment God stepped in, and now they're watching what divine endorsement looks like. Protection is powerful, but promotion is undeniable. Not only did God shield you from what could have broken you, but he used that very storm to usher you into a new level. You weren't just hidden from harm, you were positioned for elevation. What should have crushed you ended up crowning you. Many think that being chosen means being safe from trials, but you know firsthand that being chosen means walking through fire and coming out refined, not burned. What others thought would be your end was only your beginning. Every dart thrown at you became a stepping stone. Every trap became a turning point. This wasn't just divine defense, it was divine strategy. You were shielded, yes, but more importantly, you were shifted from the background to the forefront, from overlooked to undeniable, from attack to anointed. That's how heaven operates. It doesn't just protect, it promotes in the presence of enemies. Your story is living proof that storms don't mean rejection, they mean preparation. God didn't just spare you, He spotlighted you. That's why you're walking into rooms you didn't apply for, receiving favor you didn't beg for, and gaining influence you didn't scheme for. You're not the same version they attacked. You're stronger, wiser, and unmistakably elevated. Let them wonder how. Let them question why. Because the truth is, you were never just being kept safe. You were being carried higher. Your fall was an illusion. The real story was the rise. And now the world is seeing what happens when God not only covers but catapults His chosen ones. You weren't just restored to where you were. You've been reinstated with more power, clarity, and authority than ever before. The old seat wasn't enough for what God was about to do through you. So, He gave you a new one, higher, more visible, more impactful. This wasn't just a return, it was a reset. Reinstatement doesn't mean you go back the same. It means you come back better, bolder, more focused. The scars you carry now shine like medals of honor. The silence you endured was the soil for your spiritual evolution. When God reinstates, He doesn't just hand you back what was stolen, He upgrades it. Remember David, he didn't just recover from exile, he returned with a crown. Joseph didn't just leave the pit, he rose to the palace. The pattern is clear. Divine reinstatement always comes with divine increase. You're not back in the game, you're rewriting the rules. Those who thought they removed you are now spectators in your redemption. And it's not pride, it's prophecy. You're not the same leader, voice, or vessel you once were. You've grown, you've endured, you've been forged in fire, and now speak with the thunder of experience and the calm of divine wisdom. This reinstatement is heaven's announcement that your voice matters, that your role is essential, and that your mission was never up for debate. It was always part of a higher plan. You are chosen again, but this time with power. You may not have seen them coming, but they were always there, watching, waiting, warring on your behalf. Heaven didn't just send comfort during your trial. It deployed high-ranking spiritual allies to fight battles you couldn't even name. You didn't face the enemy alone. You had help from realms unseen. This wasn't just emotional support, it was supernatural strategy. There are angels assigned to your assignment, helpers linked to your destiny, allies who don't need credit, only obedience. While you felt weak, they were moving mountains. While you cried, they warred. While you rested, they took ground. And don't underestimate what that means. It means you have backing that can't be bribed, threatened, or compromised. Your ally isn't bound by time or space. They don't answer to politics or popularity. They answer to heaven, and heaven has decided that your story must unfold. Sometimes the greatest help is silent. No grand announcements, no flashing lights. Just divine precision in the shadows, situations turning in your favor, doors opening that were welded shut, hearts changing without explanation. That's your ally at work. Silent in motion, loud in outcome. Your enemy made one fatal mistake. They assumed you were unarmed, but you've been divinely assisted this entire time. And now that ally is stepping into the spotlight, ensuring your next chapter is marked by breakthrough, not breakdown. You're not alone. You never were. And now your help is here. What they did in secret, God exposed in glory. They thought their whispers in back rooms and their plots in hidden places would go unchecked. But heaven doesn't miss a move. While they schemed in the shadows, God orchestrated a glorious comeback that they could neither stop nor understand. The beauty of divine timing is that it always reveals who was truly in control. As they planted lies and dug pits, God was painting a canvas of your restoration. You see, the darker the scheme, the brighter the revelation. That's why your story is shining now. It was sculpted in the contrast of betrayal and breakthrough. Their weapons were forged in bitterness, but God's plan was carved in brilliance. They underestimated the reach of heaven's hand. While they whispered destruction, heaven was declaring destiny. They tried to write you out, but God rewrote the entire narrative with you as the centerpiece. God never panics. He doesn't react. He reigns. While they were frantically trying to sabotage your reputation, God was calmly preparing your reintroduction. And what an entrance it was. Louder, stronger, more radiant than before. Their shadows were no match for his glory. Let this remind you, no matter how strategic the attack, no enemy can match the creativity of God. While they work in darkness, God works in dominion. You didn't just survive their schemes, you shined through them. That's what happens when glory enters the story. There's a new force moving in your life, powerful, invisible, untouchable. It's not just that you found strength, it's that you found connection. Heaven has assigned to you an ally who sits beyond the reach of human interference, beyond manipulation, beyond harm. Your enemies can't hack into this alliance. They can't send rumors, threats, or spiritual warfare high enough to touch this kind of connection. This is divine partnership, a link forged by fire and confirmed by heaven. You are now moving in alignment with someone and something far beyond your adversary's reach. What does that mean for you? It means protection without panic, favor without force, victory without vengeance. You're moving with a holy shadow, a presence that goes before you, clears paths, opens doors, and shuts mouths. Your ally doesn't need to shout. Their power is shown in results. This new spiritual alignment changes everything. You no longer walk alone. You no longer speak without weight. Every step you take is covered. Every word you speak is echoed in heaven, and when you're out of strength, your ally fights on your behalf. Let your enemies wonder, let them speculate, but know this, your secret weapon is now public power. What they can't reach, they can't stop. And what they can't stop, they'll be forced to watch rise. Ironically, what they meant to hurt you actually healed you. Their attack wasn't your ending, it was your awakening. When they tried to strip you, they actually exposed the gold within you. It didn't kill you, it crowned you. This is how elevation often begins, not with applause but with opposition. Pressure reveals purpose, fire reveals strength. What they thought would diminish you only defined you. They unknowingly became the tools that sharpened your sword. Pain has a strange way of refining vision. Before the betrayal, you were moving with caution. After the betrayal, you're moving with clarity. Before the attack, you were playing safe. Now you're walking boldly. They didn't realize it, but they activated something holy within you. Every blow became a building block. Every insult a stepping stone. You've gone from overlooked to unstoppable, from quiet to commanding. You don't walk in fear anymore. You walk in fire, and fire elevates everything it touches. What they tried to dismantle has only made you dangerous in a good way. You're not just restored, you're reborn, and with this rebirth comes undeniable elevation. They tried to dethrone you, emotionally, spiritually, socially, but what they forgot is that your position wasn't given by man, and it can't be taken by man. God placed you, and only God can move you, and he just moved you back with more than you had before. Thrones in the spiritual realm aren't decorated chairs, they are assignments. You weren't just holding influence, you were holding responsibility, and they didn't like that. They wanted the crown, but not the calling. They wanted the platform, not the pressure, so they tried to remove you. But God has a way of returning what's rightfully yours with interest. Your position has been restored, not in silence, but in the presence of those who doubted you, and it's not just the same throne, it's elevated, it's matured, it fits you now better than before. This isn't about ego, it's about assignment. You are being recreated, not to flaunt power, but to fulfill purpose. And those who scheme to unseat you will now witness the weight of divine restoration. Wear the crown again, but wear it with wisdom. This time, You're not just sitting on the throne, you're stewarding it with grace, discernment, and undeniable spiritual authority. They mistook your silence for surrender, but you weren't retreating, you were reloading. Your quiet was never weakness, it was wisdom. While they ranted and raged, you rested and regrouped. And now that you've returned, the difference is undeniable. Silence is often where power is born. In the quiet, you heard heaven. In the stillness, you received strategy. While they were obsessed with the noise, you were tuning into the whisper of God. And from that whisper came your comeback, silent but supernatural. The most powerful moves are often made without announcement. You didn't need to clap back, because you were being clapped for in heaven. Your comeback is louder than any response you could have given. It speaks through your fruit, not your fury. And now those who underestimated you during your silence must witness the glory of your return. You're not just back, you're transformed, elevated, unshakable. They can't argue with the favor on your life. It's too loud to ignore. So continue walking with quiet confidence. Let your silence speak, because while your enemies talked, heaven moved, and the results speak volumes. Absolutely. Let's continue with the final portion of your script. Here are the last 6 sections, headings 10 to 15, each with 5 emotionally powerful, spiritually resonant paragraphs in the same human-crafted motivational style as before. They used manipulation, gossip and control, tools of the flesh, to try to break you, but you weren't fighting on their level. While they plotted from pride, you were powered by prayer. While they used people, you leaned on presence. They were fighting carnally, but your strength was spiritual, and that's why you won. You didn't have to get even. You didn't have to clap back, because you weren't fighting them. You were rooted in something higher. When you're backed by the Spirit, the outcome is never in doubt. You weren't reacting, you were aligned. That alignment became your anchor. Your silence wasn't defeat, it was discipline. Scripture tells us the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty through God, and you proved that. You walked away instead of attacking, you prayed instead of panicking, and heaven responded in ways they could never understand. Their influence was earthly, yours came from eternity. You were never supposed to fight them on their level, because when you're chosen, your weapons are different. Your strength comes from within, and when the Spirit backs you, you don't just survive, you shift atmospheres. They came to wound you, but their efforts bounced off the armor of God wrapped around your soul. So let them wonder why it didn't work. Let them scratch their heads. The truth is, their weapons never had a chance, not because of you, but because of who stands with you. And when the Spirit backs you, you always finish on top. What they attacked is no longer who you are. You've undergone a spiritual transformation, an upgrade. The old you they fought, gone. They planned their war against a version of you that no longer exists. And now you've emerged from the fire, not just healed, but completely upgraded. This isn't just spiritual growth, it's spiritual elevation. Your discernment is sharper, your boundaries are clearer, your peace is protected. You've outgrown old patterns and broken out of old prisons. This version of you is dangerous in the best, most divine way. You see too clearly now to be manipulated. You've been changed from the inside out. They weren't ready for this version of you. They thought you'd stay small, insecure and unsure. But elevation requires evolution, and you embraced it. You let God break what had to be broken. You surrendered to the process, and in doing so you became someone who moves differently, speaks differently, and sees differently. This new you walks with holy authority. Your steps are ordered. Your words are weighty. Your presence shifts the room. Why? Because you carry the residue of someone who's been in the presence of God. You've gone from surviving to soaring, from reactive to prophetic, from fragmented to whole. They can't fight you the same way anymore, because they don't recognize who you've become. That's the power of spiritual elevation. By the time they launch the next attack, They'll realize they're fighting someone who's already moved to the next level. You've been placed back in position, but the position doesn't define you anymore. You've changed. Your heart, your vision, your capacity, it's all been expanded. This isn't a repeat of the old season. This is a rebirth into something far greater. Before, you may have doubted yourself, questioned your worth, relied too heavily on titles or people. But now you know who you are, with or without applause. Your identity has been rooted deeper. You no longer seek validation. You walk in revelation. And though your role may be familiar, your spirit is brand new. You lead with different eyes. You speak from different wounds. You love with stronger conviction. You are restored, but not recycled. What's come back to you has returned in a better container. Let those who remember the old you take notice. You're not bitter. You're not bitter. You're not boastful. You're balanced. Restoration didn't just bring your post back. It brought your peace, your clarity, and your authority back too. This time, you sit in your post with holy boldness and spiritual discipline, because restoration without transformation is incomplete. But you've been transformed, and now your presence is proof that when God restores, He doesn't just give back. He upgrades the vessel carrying it. They plotted in pride. They schemed with confidence. They assumed their plan would work because it had worked before on others, or maybe even on you in a weaker season. But what they didn't calculate was heaven's hand coming down with unshakable favor. Favor doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't apologize. It doesn't knock. It takes over. And that's exactly what happened. Heaven's favor showed up like a tidal wave, crashing every weapon, every lie, every alliance formed in darkness. What they carefully constructed, God shattered in seconds. You didn't need to defend yourself. God did it for you, with favor that cannot be explained, with outcomes that can't be reversed, with blessings that can't be sabotaged. While they were trying to bury you, God was building you, and now favor has spoken louder than their conspiracy ever could. Let this be a warning and a witness. When heaven chooses someone, no human strategy can override that decision. Your favor is not fragile. It's rooted in obedience and sealed in divine grace. You didn't earn it, but you carry it, and it carries you. Their conspiracy failed because they forgot one thing. God's not neutral when it comes to His children. He fights. He favors. He flips the script. And when favor steps in, conspiracies collapse. Your life has been realigned. You didn't just get back to where you were. You've been divinely repositioned. God didn't bring you this far to return you to normal. He brought you back to elevate you to a new assignment. This isn't a repeat. It's a revelation. Repositioning isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it looks like isolation. But when heaven repositions you, it's always with purpose. You were moved so you could see clearer, so you could speak louder, so you could serve deeper. The authority you now carry didn't come from popularity or power. It came from pain, from process, from praying when you didn't feel heard, from trusting when it didn't make sense. That's what qualified you for this new position. Not your resume, your resilience. And now you're no longer walking through doors. You're building them. You're no longer just occupying space. You're shaping the atmosphere. God has entrusted you with influence, not for your ego, but for impact. You've been repositioned for purpose. This new level comes with new responsibility, but also new grace. You're not here by chance. You were handpicked, set apart, and strategically placed by the highest authority in existence. Walk in that with confidence. This is your resurrection moment, not a comeback, but a coronation. You are not returning to who you were. You're rising into who you were always meant to be. The chosen one has risen, and this time you are fully aware of the weight you carry, and the one who carries you. You walk differently now, not in arrogance, but in anointed assurance. You speak with purpose, act with vision, and live with intentionality. You've endured the fire, the silence, the sabotage, and now you stand as evidence that divine backing changes everything. You're not alone. You never were. But now the world will see the backing that was once hidden, the signs, the victories, the elevation. It all confirms one truth: you are chosen. Heaven is behind you. This isn't just a new season, it's a new era. Rise with your head high, rise with your heart healed, rise with your spirit on fire. Let the world watch as the chosen one who was once doubted, dismissed, and despised, now leads, loves, and lives from a place of power. And if they ask how you made it, just smile and say, "Heaven backed me." To generate and edit a large structured document like this, using ChatGPT Canvas, you'll need to log in to ChatGPT. Once you're logged in, you'll be able to collaborate with me on the full content in a clean, organized interface. In the meantime, I'll continue right here by creating 15 new, powerfully engaging headings, each followed by 5 emotionally resonant, long-form paragraphs written in the same deep spiritual motivational style. There were moments it felt like the weight of it all would suffocate you: the betrayal, the silence, the injustice. It was designed to bury you under the pressure, but something they never accounted for was that you were not a seed of destruction. You were a seed of destiny, and seeds grow in the dark. The dirt wasn't your death, it was your development. God used the very weight they tried to crush you with to cultivate something greater inside you. In that darkness, you discovered depth. You grew roots that couldn't be shaken, and while they thought they were silencing your influence, God was strengthening your foundation. There's something divine about a hidden process. While the world sees nothing happening, heaven is watching a miracle unfold underground, and now what was planted in pain is rising in power. You didn't just survive what was meant to destroy you, you multiplied from it. Your breakthrough wasn't in spite of the battle, but because of it. Now those same voices that tried to write your eulogy will have to witness your elevation. Your life is proof that what man means for harm, God uses for glory. Every tear, every heartbreak, every rejection, they were all necessary for this level of breakthrough. So let the world wonder how you rose from the ashes. Let them marvel at your strength. The truth is simple: you were never buried, you were planted, and now you bloom. You thought you were losing time, falling behind, being forgotten. But what looked like delay was actually divine design. The setback wasn't punishment, it was positioning. God wasn't slowing you down to stop you, He was pulling you back like an arrow, preparing to launch you further than you ever imagined. In the kingdom of God, nothing is wasted, not even waiting. Every moment you felt stagnant, He was preparing new momentum. Every no was a redirection. Every closed door was a new level of protection. You didn't fall behind. You were being hidden until the stage was safe. Now what should have taken years will happen in moments. Divine acceleration is real. It doesn't require approval or permission. When God says it's time, the door opens so fast it silences every doubt. What they thought would take you down has actually pushed you into your purpose faster than you planned. This is the paradox of purpose. The pain often precedes the promise, and your delay was not denial. It was divine timing, aligning you with supernatural momentum. You're not just catching up, you're leaping forward. Get ready, because what took others decades will take you days. That's what happens when God uses your setback as a setup for a comeback you didn't even see coming. That rejection, it hurt deeply, but it was holy. What you thought was abandonment was actually alignment. God didn't let you stay where you were, because what He had for you was too big, too sacred, too intentional to settle for less. Sometimes closed doors protect open destinies. That job, that relationship, that platform, it looked promising, but it wasn't God's best. And so, in His mercy, He allowed rejection to root you to what was designed with only you in mind. Rejection has a way of revealing what you truly need. It strips you of false attachments and exposes what you were holding on to that couldn't hold you anymore. You had to lose some things to find the right thing, your true purpose. Now you can see the blessing in the breaking. You understand the redirection wasn't personal, it was prophetic. That painful no led to a greater yes. You're not bitter anymore. You're better, wiser, and more aware of your divine assignment. Let them wonder why you're thriving after being overlooked. Tell them it's because heaven's direction is greater than man's validation. You were never rejected. You were rooted into favor. You didn't go through all that pain just to walk away whole. You came out equipped. Your healing wasn't just for your freedom. It was for others' freedom too. What once broke you now builds others. You've become the very thing you once needed. The tears you cried gave you the compassion to understand the tears of others. The nights you prayed for rescue became your training ground, and now your story carries power, authority, empathy. You don't just speak from knowledge, you speak from experience. Healing is holy, but healing others is divine. That's your new mantle. You're not just a survivor, you're a vessel. When you speak, chains break. When you show up, atmosphere shells. You walk with the fragrance of someone who has been in the fire and came out carrying the flame. You no longer hide your scars. They're sacred. They tell a story of victory. You're the evidence that pain can produce purpose, that the broken can become a blessing, that the healed can become healers. So walk boldly into this next season. Your healing is your assignment, and your voice is the medicine someone else is waiting to hear. Waiting felt like torture. You questioned the timing. You wondered if the promises were still alive. But in hindsight you can now see every delay had a divine appointment attached. What felt like waiting was actually working in your favor. In delay, God was developing you. In silence, He was stretching you. You thought nothing was happening, but everything was happening in the unseen. Destiny takes time, and you were never forgotten. You were being fashioned. The longer the wait, the greater the reward. God wasn't holding it back to hurt you. He was holding it for the right moment, because destiny released too soon can destroy, but destiny released at the right time, that's revival. Now you stand at the edge of something massive, and every moment you spent crying, hoping, trusting, it's all coming together. The delay didn't deny you, it prepared you for what would have crushed you before. Don't resent the waiting room, that's where warriors are made. You're walking into destiny now, and it's right on time. Absolutely. Let's continue with the next 10 headings, each with deep, powerful, emotionally resonant paragraphs that are even longer and more vivid, written in a human tone and rich spiritual language. These sections are crafted for maximum engagement, perfect for a speech, book, podcast, or motivational video. When the fire came, they thought it would consume you, but they didn't know the fire was sent to refine you, not to ruin you. You didn't walk out burned, you walked out brighter. You weren't left in ashes, you were elevated from them. That process wasn't punishment, it was purification. You're gold, pure, heavy, valuable, untouchable. They thought they could break you, but how do you break what has already been refined? The fire didn't leave you fragile, it left you fearless. You're not the same person who walked into that storm, you've been transformed. Now you speak with the weight of someone who has seen the depths and chosen light. Anyway, your strength is no longer theoretical, it's lived, felt, proven. You didn't just survive, you evolved, and now every step you take glows with the glory of a life that's been refined by fire, but not ruined by it. There are doors opening for you now that your enemies simply can't access, not because you're better, but because you've been prepared. These rooms aren't about popularity or position, they're about purpose, and the price you paid to get here has qualified you for places that are locked to the unprepared and unauthorized. You didn't buy your way into these rooms, you bled your way here, with prayer, with perseverance, with pain. While others schemed, you served. While they pushed for platforms, You pushed through spiritual warfare, and now God is opening rooms where your name has been whispered by angels long before it was mentioned by man. These rooms are different. They're not about spotlight, they're about stewardship. You walk in with humility, not hype, with discernment, not desperation. You know how to carry what's sacred, because you've been through seasons where all you had was the sacred. You know how to listen before you speak, how to observe before you offer. These are kingdom rooms, and only the spiritually mature survive here. Your enemies don't understand it. They see the fruit, but not the fasting. They see the oil, but not the crushing. That's why they can't follow you into this space. It's reserved for those who were refined in the dark. You didn't just earn this access, you were assigned to it. So walk in with confidence, not pride. You belong here, not because they said so, but because heaven confirmed it. The doors God opens, no one can shut. And the rooms he places you in are sealed from sabotage. Your life was never meant to just be a story of survival. You're a signpost now, living evidence that God is still in the business of resurrection. They thought you'd be silent, but now your testimony is thunder. You didn't just crawl out of the fire. You're a flame carrier now, lighting the path for others. You're the miracle they never saw coming. A living contradiction to what should have been. Statistically, emotionally, spiritually, you should have been done, but you weren't. You refused to bow, refused to break, and now people are looking at you and wondering, how are they still standing? The answer is simple: grace, grit, and God. You're not just here to inspire, you're here to interrupt. Your presence in rooms is prophetic. You shift atmospheres without saying a word, because people can feel the cost in your voice, the oil in your spirit, the depth in your silence. You don't need titles to be impactful. You carry presence, and presence shifts things. You are proof that survival isn't the end game. Transformation is. You don't walk with limp hands, you walk with legacy. You've been entrusted with a mantle, one that says, if I made it, so can you. And that's why hell fought so hard to stop you, because you're not just dangerous to darkness. You're a beacon for others still walking through it. Don't shrink from this. Don't downplay it. You are a walking wonder, not perfect, not proud, but purposed. And that makes you a living sign of what heaven can do through the broken, the bruised, and the bold. There was a time when you were overlooked, silenced, dismissed. People didn't see your worth, and maybe you didn't either. But those days are gone. The anointing on your life is now too loud to ignore. It's not arrogance, it's authority. And authority earned in the shadows now demands recognition in the light. Anointing isn't charisma, it's not clout, it's not how loud you can speak, or how many followers you have. It's the undeniable evidence of heaven resting on a person. It's the fruit of faithfulness in private obedience when no one is watching, sacrifice when no one is applauding. You didn't chase platforms, you chased purity. You didn't seek applause, you sought alignment. And now the weight of what you carry is pulling the right opportunities into your orbit. People can sense it. Rooms shift when you speak. Hearts soften when you show up. That's anointing, and no one can manufacture that. Those who once dismissed you now find themselves drawn to you, not because you changed your strategy, but because you've been marked. When God sets his seal on someone, no one can unsee it. You've been through too much, grown too deep, and now you walk in a flow that's undeniable. The same ones who tried to ignore you will soon need your voice. Not because you demanded it, but because the oil attracts.